Okay, so in this video, I want to discuss philosophy, specifically how to do philosophy correctly. What are the essential principles that you need to do philosophy correctly, and also just to give kind of the guidelines, but also to give an outline as to why philosophy is so important. It's in fact more important probably than all of our other disciplines because it's foundational for all the rest. So the whole point of philosophy, philosophical thought, is essentializing, or coming to the essential principles, getting at what are the essential questions, what are the essential principles ultimately in three basic categories, three areas: philosophical, theoretical, and practical. Now, the important thing to understand is that in this whole process, in these three categories, what you're trying to look at and analyze are philosophical assumptions. You're trying to develop theoretical models, and you are trying to ultimately come up with viable practical applications. The next thing that you have to look at in each of these areas is categories. What are your basic categories philosophically, theoretically, or practically? What are your basic distinctions philosophically, theoretically, and practically? And what is your terminology? What are your terms? So what language are you using? Now, when you look at categories and the distinctions between the categories and the terminology, the very important thing is to remember that you need no more nor less than the exact or precise number of categories and distinctions, as well as terminology, as is necessary to completely define and describe something philosophically, theoretically, and practically. Now you have within categories, distinctions, terminology. Within these philosophical, theoretical, practical categories, distinctions, and terminologies, what you have are your definitions and your descriptions. And these are very important because this is how you differentiate one category, one distinction, one terminology from the other, by how you define it, how you describe it. And again, in these three areas, philosophical, theoretical, and practical. Now, the most important thing, I want this to be really clear, this is the most important thing, I believe, in this audio relative to, or that's relevant to, and then relative to philosophy and understanding it and how to do it and how to do anything else, how to develop, to do things philosophically, theoretically, practically. These 7 criteria that I'm about to outline are the criteria against which you measure everything you are doing, everything you are working on, everything you are thinking about, everything you're reading, everything what you're listening to right now, this audio video. You measure all philosophy, all philosophical assumptions, all theoretical models, all practical applications, all the different systems of categories, distinctions, and terminology, all different definitions and descriptions. You measure them against the following 7 criteria, the following 7 principles: simplicity, clarity, accuracy, truth, comprehensiveness, completeness, and practical utility. So you're basically asking 7 questions when you're dealing with anything of an intellectual nature, philosophical nature, questioning, whatever. Not anything to do with knowledge or or communication. Is it simple? Is it clear? Is it accurate? Is it true? Is it comprehensive? Is it complete? And is it practically useful? It must meet or be measured against these 7 criteria always. So it's not sufficient to have a simple, clear system unless it is accurate and true. But there's no point having a simple, clear, accurate, true system that is not comprehensive, that is not complete. But no matter what kind of system you create, philosophically, theoretically, or practically, if it's not practically useful, then it's irrelevant. So this leads to another related principle that's very important to understand, that's maybe not as important as these 7 criteria, but maybe is next in importance and significance. And that is that all practical applications are determined by theoretical models that are defined by philosophical assumptions. I want that to be really clear to you. You really need to understand what that means. You need to think about that. That means that there's no practical application that we have that is not derived from some theoretical model. And more importantly than that, this is where philosophy comes in. Every theoretical model is derived or based on or founded upon philosophical assumptions. And these are things that are very important to understand as these 3 basic categories. So also what needs to be understood is that science is a philosophical process of intellectual questioning. The right questions get you the right answers. So that's about it for this video, and I hope it covers everything. Thanks. Bye.